And I brought along a pastry blender. Now you can use shortening, you can use lard, you can use margarine, you can use butter, you can use a combination of all those 4 ingredients. Is it hard? I don't use canola oil, I just use the solid. But I would think that you could use canola oil. You're going to have to cut down on your liquid though, because the canola oil is liquid, isn't it? Which? This? This is lard. And I'm just going to use lard. This is just a 1 pound package of lard. Rather than measuring out 2/3 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons, this package is 2 cups. So if you cut that package down the middle, that's 1 cup. But I don't want 1 cup, I want 2/3. So divide your piece of fat with a knife, 2/3. And that's going to go into my bowl. And then 2 tablespoons, half of that other third, and that's all you need. So then you don't have to squelch your fat into your measuring cup. And I'll put this away as I go. Now flour. This is for a 2-crust pie, and we're going to use 2 cups of flour. One and 2. I know this is kind of boring for you folks who already make pastry. And that's that. Wait, do you make it every day? You lie. I'm going to get you up here.
Oh, I eat it every day.
Oh, you eat it every day. And salt, we're just going to do a teaspoon of salt. Now, when I went to cooking school, they gave us 2 knives, and they told us you have to cut your pastry like this. Well, things have changed since then. When you're doing your pastry, however you're doing it, if you're doing it with a mixer or a food processor, you don't want to see the flour. You don't want to know that there was ever any flour in the bowl. So just keep blending it and pressing it until it's kind of crummy. And this takes a while. This doesn't take a long while. Pardon me?
I think that's the problem with making pastry. We're getting patient.
You know, I have a KitchenAid. And my brother always said he always made his pastry in the KitchenAid. And he came over to my house one day when I moved up here, and he put all the flour and the fat into the mixer and broke my mixer. So for 6 months I didn't have a mixer. Well, I didn't have that one anyway. And then when I got it back, I tried using the same method he did. It worked great. You just have to remember to turn the speed up a little bit faster. So I haven't made pastry like this in maybe 10 years. And then water. Now, ice water, I don't know. Have they done any studies to say that you need to use ice water making pastry? Does it make a difference? I don't think so. Do you want to put your pastry into the refrigerator to let it set? If you're making a single crust pie shell and you want to put a coconut cream or a lemon meringue into it, put your pastry after you've done it into the refrigerator and let it set, and then pull it out and put it into the oven to bake. And I think you'll find that the sides stay up a lot better. Okay, well, I can still see a little bit of flour in here, but most of it has disappeared. So for speed's sake, we're going to say it's all disappeared. Now, I came in with 8 bottles of water. I had them on my cart at the back door, and when I went to get my cart, I had 2 bottles left, so I think somebody's thirsty. There are 16 tablespoons to a cup, and this recipe calls for half a cup of water. So that's all I'm going to do is just half a cup of water. And I brought my little fork along. together. If you add more water, don't worry about it. As long as your dough is kind of soft, pliable, it can be wet. If it's too wet, put a little bit more flour down on your board or on your countertop, and it will pull the, it'll just mix right into the wet pastry. There. Having done that, hold that there. Okay, now, I'm going to take a little bit more flour. It's soft. It could be softer. As I said, if it is softer, if it's too soft, add a little bit more flour to your board. Knead it for a little bit to get it into a nice little ball. It's going to be nice and round. Then cut it in half. That way you're going to know that one half is going to be for the bottom of your pie and the other half is going to be for the top. So we'll put that aside now too. I don't need that. Okay, we have a rolling pin. Now, set that aside. Try and get all of your ingredients together, fairly close to where you're working. And the reason why we're starting with pastry is first is so that I don't have to go back and clean off my work surface before I start my apples. And we are going to peel some apples here too. Now, this is in a ball. We cut it in half and it wasn't in a perfect shape, but flatten it out and make it a nice shape. Give it a good shape, because if you've got huge hunks sticking out, by the time you finish rolling, that hunk isn't going to be pulling itself back into your round dough ball. A little bit more flour. Somebody say something?
I'm just watching.
Don't be afraid to lift your pastry up and flip it over.
I thought that I shouldn't say I thought. My mother, I remember my mother saying that not to lift the pastry over, that it would make it
Tough?
So no?
I've
You never heard?
I've never heard that. I know that when you're making biscuits, shortcake biscuits or tea biscuits, you should flip them over before you bake them because they'll rise higher. Now this is supposed to be about 2 inches wider than your pie tin, and it's a little bit wider, but that's okay. Fold it in half, drop it in, and that one is ready to go.